My name is Merapelo Letebele. I'm a coordinator for a program called Selalelo. My assignment is to get in contact with other Africans for us to talk about things that are of mutual concern to us. Because when we are in Africa, obviously we don't have slavery or racism in the same sense that African Americans have experienced in America. But we do have our own issues, ethnic tensions sometimes, but largely we live in peace. We are trying to build bridges between Africans and African Americans because Black groups in the whole world are facing racism as a collective. If you live Zambia or Botswana and you go to a European country, they don't care where you come from. They think all Africans are the same and they may not necessarily like us, right? But before we get to racial issues, we know that there may be some ethnic tensions amongst ourselves. So when we get Africans talking amongst themselves, they can see that there is no need for them to be amplifying their differences so that they can come together. And maybe we can try to pursue that elusive African unity that everybody has been talking about for 100 years, but it doesn't seem to be happening. Welcome to the program. I'm very, very excited to have you, and you may introduce yourself.
My name is Mukandawire Ken. I'm the president for Zambian Society in Botswana, and I've stayed in Botswana for the past 24 years.
Thank you.
My name is Noah Mtonga. I'm the Secretary General of the Zambian Society in Botswana, ZSB.
It's very nice actually to know that there's a Zambian community living in Botswana. Can you give us a background about your community? How many ethnicities does your society represent, and what sort of things do you do?
Zambia has got 73 tribes. We represent all the 73 tribes.
What sort of challenges does the Zambian community have in maintaining their cultural identity while living in Botswana?
Zambia doesn't have much of the cultural identity in the sense that when Zambia got independence in 1964 through our founding father, Dr. David Kenneth Kaunda, he taught us one Zambia, one nation. There was the unification of the 73 tribes. English tends to be our official language, and we have other 8 local languages that are spoken. So
how did you come to form an association for yourselves, and how large is your membership?
As Zambians, we do have what we call diaspora organization, to which all the Zambians in different countries subscribe to which our president sits on that board or on that executive as a representative for the Zambian community in Botswana. We are legally registered together with ZASA, which is the Zambian society in South Africa.
And we don't work in isolation. We work with the Zambian embassy. You know, we interlink the Zambian embassy with the residents who are in Botswana.
We have about 2,000 Zambians living in Botswana.
I understand that it's very difficult for someone to leave their home and set up in a different country, for instance. So how is the experience for you as Zambians living in a foreign country, whether good or bad? I want to hear it all.
I think I have a challenge with that statement. For Zambians that have decided to migrate for economical reasons and explore the outside world. In the African countries, it's not all that difficult. We just fit in without any challenges. Yeah, we've heard for those who have migrated to go to places like UK, America, and other ice-cold areas, we know that they've always had challenges to fit in. But where I'm crossing the Zambezi River, as we are talking right now, our president, they're having bilateral discussions with the Dr. Eric Sisi right in Kasani, and they are discussing immigration issues. It hasn't been a challenge to live within African countries. Botswana, they walk into Zambia, they drive into Zambia, they are doing a lot of cross-border business. Zambians are coming to Botswana, South Africa, and buses, they move on every day. You look at now, we have flights, direct flights from Botswana to Zambia, you know, direct flights from Botswana to Kenya, and there hasn't been all that challenges to the best of my knowledge.
How difficult or easy was it for you to adjust in terms of weather in Botswana, food in Botswana, because I know that Botswana is a very, very hot country. And some other Africans that I've met are always complaining about the heat. Even we complain about the heat in our country.
With food, I think we have more or less the same kind of food.
I'd like to talk about ethnic issues. I heard you very well telling me that Zambia is a blended country where the ethnic differences have been minimized, which I think is a very, very good thing. And I'm saying this because we are trying to forge bonds with other African societies. Before colonization, there was a lot of skirmishes between different ethnic groups in Southern Africa and everywhere else in the world, right? So when colonization happened, there was a 100-year break where African groups were kept apart from each other. So it was only after colonization ended that African countries are beginning to find each other again, right? And there have been instances where people did not accept others or like others or understand other groups, not only because of the language barrier, but also because we have different cultures in Africa. And we see the worst manifestation of that kind of problem happening in South Africa with the xenophobic attack. South Africa had been isolated from the rest of the world for so long that they kind of ended up forgetting that there are other Africans in the world. I want us to talk about those kind of issues. What are your views as a Zambian community living in a foreign country? What are your observances, whether you are looking at the South African issue, whether it's something that might be happening in Botswana where you know that there may be some ethnic tensions? What are your views on that topic on a very, very general point of view?
You know, in Zambia, it is very difficult to have such tensions because of our arrangements. You know, as we said that there were about 73 tribes, but our forefathers encouraged intermarriages. You gave an example of South Africa, that's xenophobia. That one, I don't call it, I can't quantify it to be ethnic tension. That one is just the way the society was molded. Yes, that one is politically motivated, and the society, the way it was molded, they perceived those who came in like they have, whilst they don't have. You see what I mean? Oh, these people have come here and they are better off than us. So how do we defend ourselves? Which was a very wrong way of dealing with a situation.
I'll give an example of Botswana. We are aware of xenophobic acts and situations in South Africa. I presume those are politically motivated. I'll give an example. Botswana and South Africa, we are talking of three hours drive from here to South Africa. How come Botswana doesn't have xenophobic acts? I've known Botswana as a peaceful nation, actually better than my own country. If they've been people that are loving, it's Botswana. You look at the ethnic issues that happened in Rwanda, that happened in other countries. Look at the DRC today. When you go around behind everything, to me, I've always seen it as politically motivated. I don't know about outside Myanmar and other countries, but I'm looking at this SADC region. The SADC region, I think if there's been a place where there's been a lot of peace, it is SADC. We may talk of insurgents happening in Mozambique and the like, but look at what happened in Angola. Today, Angola has peace. Why? It could have been all those ethnic issues. But SADC has always been working very hard to try and bring one family. Today, you look at Namibia, but Botswana has initiated very good ideas. Some of us were even skeptical to see whether it would work out. Now we have Namibians, Botswana using an ID. They are not. It's like in UK, you know, going in through that country using an ID instead of a passport. Zimbabwe, I don't know, but I presume the discussions that are even having in Kasani could be something that is leading to that. You look at the bridge, that iconic bridge, basically, you know, Botswana, Zambia, they were called landlocked countries. Today, they are now called land-linked countries. Through this kind of political and economic movements that are coming in, believe me, I think the language of ethnic issues will be a thing of the past sooner or later. But I don't know about South Africa. I wouldn't want to make that comment on South Africa because that has been its own, they have their own issues. But to me, those are politically motivated.
What is the state of gender relations in Zambia? Are you gentlemen being nice to your ladies? Because a lot of African cultures, they don't treat their women nice. And it's something as a Botswana woman
What was the question again?
how are gender relations in Zambia? Are you guys treating your women as your equals? Do you think there is any merit in women trying to say they want gender equality?
In Africa, it is affecting nearly all African countries, but Zambia also has the gender inequality or GBV there. The Zambian government has, part of the policing department, which is now called
victim support
services, where it is highly focused on GBV.
And that one is not only for women, it also supports men who are abused by their wives.
GBV majorly, you see it happening in the villages. Zambia is promoting education, both gender. If you look at the representation political arena, Zambia has actually been leading or has been actually demonstrating, where we are having automatically the vice president becomes a female, and we are actually improving each day when it comes to Zambia, because now we believe that women can still do what men can do. We have women that are driving trucks, we have women that are in the military, we have women that are working in the mines. So as Zambians, we are in the right trajectory, to which I've also noted more Botswana. In Botswana, it is also happening the same.
Authorities have concentrated in looking after a girl child through women empowerment. And at some time, that is my observation, they have literally forgotten about the boy child. As a result, the influences or the repercussions that are emanating from that need to be tackled. But basically speaking, the last 20-25 years, women have been taken care of, such that the mind of yesteryears where women were just supposed to be at home are no more. Because women now, they're allowed to go work, they're allowed to fend for themselves, they're allowed to own whatever they want to own. Yes. That's happening in Zambia and here too.
Do you pay the bride price when you get married in Zambia for the woman?
Oh yes.
You can't have him.
What is the going fee?
Let me tell you, in Zambia, there was no cohabiting. There was no cohabiting. I don't want to give other examples which you know very well. It's only now that because of the mingling, between you see the Sadiki arrangement and the lifestyle. Now we are having some form of cohabiting happening in Zambia, but you cannot go into marriage in Zambia without paying the bride price. Right. Now, did you ask how much is involved in the bride price? The answer is each tribe has each tribe because each tribe they have their own way of how they charge. There are those.
Give me an example.
There are those who use keto, like tumbukas.
Like our tribe.
Yes, they will charge you in keto form. Me, I married from Northwestern. I was not charged that because they don't have keto that side. I was charged the cash. I think by 1995, I paid 60,000 kwacha. In Zambia, you don't pay bride price. Even if you are so much rich, you don't finish, even if they charge you whatever, you don't finish paying the bride price. You have to pay it in bits and pieces until further notice. Did you finish?
I just finished recently. After 30 years.
After 31 years. So the bride price, it's not basically for buying.
But I wonder, now that I'm older, I'm beginning to feel like this is the source of the problem for us as women, because men actually see it as actually buying a wife for real, so that when he has you, you are just like his servant.
Okay.
What would you be your reaction to that?
Culture keeps on evolving. We don't need to be whitewashed. You look at the guys from the Middle East, you look at the from the West. Much of us, we've been, surely, if I may ask you, Marapelo, where did we get the white wedding? But that white wedding, it's not what we are Africans, and the white wedding, it's not our tradition, it's not our culture.
And not necessary.
It's not necessary. It's not necessary. I don't want to mention other, gender issues that have cropped up, which never existed in our culture. We've always lived, husband and wife, female and today, what are we seeing? We have, what do you call it? No. All sex marriages and such legalities coming in. When you look at it, you go and consult you go to your village. That they'll tell you it's a taboo. We need to get back to our roots where we belong to.
Let's talk about racism. Are you aware of Africans being subjected to racism everywhere else in the world?
Yes,
more especially in the sports fraternity. And we are aware that in football, FIFA has put punitive measures to avoid racism, and they're always talking about it, that they don't condone racism, which is very good. But in isolated situations, there was a video which was going around where a young black girl after school was being beaten by a group of white pupils, whilst presumably the teachers or whoever was responsible at this school was just there watching without separating them. That was a very sorry experience.
Okay.
Just to add on that, racism, I think we still have some challenges in our neighbors in South Africa, but we hear much of the racism. It's Africans that are affected. Okay, I'll use the word black pigmentation is what is majorly subjected to racism out there, out there. Like he had given an example of in the football fraternity. I'm one person who has never even had a desire to let me go out to European land. It's because of the reports that we've always received. Thank you.
Are you aware that North Africans of Arabic descent actually are still enslaving Africans as we speak? Have you ever seen videos of African slaves being sold and tortured and killed in Libya and all those countries up there? Are you aware?
Yeah, that's North Africa. I came across such information, more especially the people who try to cross to Europe, but through Libya, and when they are caught, the way they are subjected to inhuman, treatment.
It's the regional.
It's the regional thing.
Look at
where the regional thing.
Do you think it's because Arabs are racist towards Africans or not? What do you think?
That one is difficult to see, because say if those Africans have not moved from where they are in the manner they move, then those people who subject those to inhuman behavior, knowing that these are here on their own, they have nowhere to report. Even if I tell or treat her in this manner, he won't report because one is an illegal immigrant. Now, if I move from my country with my passport and properly visas and reach a country and loot to somewhere, even I reach Libya and loot to somewhere, I don't think I can be subjected to that.
Just to add on that, you've touched on the part of the Arabic. It still boils down to culture, because the cultural background from whether it is Middle East, North Africa, that's where, when we are talking of the ethnic tensions and the like, I presume that's where it is. Look at where we are experiencing coups. It is still in North Africa. Racism, it's a challenge. There is quite a lot of work that needs to be done. Remember, these things are politically motivated.
Okay.
It was in Myanmar where there was ethnic cleansing. What did the ruling of the international Court of Justice ruled over that? Today, now, anyway, we cannot compare the issues of Gaza, Hamas and Israel. Again, people, they are still talking about ethnic issues or ethnic cleansing.
Things that affect Black people wherever they are. I know that we are in Southern Africa. The whole point is for Silalelo to bring Southern Africans together, but there's also an element of us not turning a blind eye to what is happening to Africans and people of African descent in the diaspora. Can you tell me, why do you think that other races, for instance, black skin is inferior? Do you have any idea at all why everybody else in the world doesn't like Africans? Why do you think Black people are most susceptible to racism?
This boils down to colonial times. Maybe we may talk of other European countries trying to recolonize African countries. The Africans, we now know who we are. Those days are gone. We own minerals. We need these things to be done right from our countries. It's just that the background where we're coming from, it was difficult because of the colonial masters. They gave us different kind of academic perception. But today, things, the Africans that we are meeting today are different. Possibly that's the reason why we are having a lot of wars up there, because they have refused to bow down to the West.
But I didn't hear a response to why do you think other people are treating Africans badly out there in the world?
That generalization will be very difficult to quantify or qualify. Just recently, you see, thank you for social media. It's bringing up a lot of issues. You know, somebody was filming a scenario where I think 4 years old, 3 years old at the nursery school, they had received a black child, and everyone were looking at that black child like it's the skin of, like it's a chocolate. So they were going and touching, you know, they were very surprised to say, hey, there's a person like me. I presume those chaps were the first time to see a black African. So that also borders on the type of training and professionalism they have. So that one will still be there and it will not be eliminated, but we just pray to God that the authorities will be doing more, you know, to curb that.
But Marapelo, you get this point. It is not the Africans that are doing that. It is them that feel, or the Africans are closing in, or they are discovering who they are. I think it is the identity issue. I don't think I'm one person who could, maybe because I'm here in this free country, but I don't think somebody would be able to come and trample on me. What is driving all these things, or slavery, or people being victimized in that way? I'm sorry to say, majorly it's because of poverty. Africa, we are still there, and we have to come out of that. Why is it like that? It's because they look at us with inferiority complex. This is where the minerals are. You look at Congo DR, you look at the Botswana diamonds, you look at the Zambian copper, you look at the uranium in Zimbabwe, you look at the gold in South Africa. Africa is so rich. And it's only that, you know, the treaties that were signed then, France has just pulled out of Niger or in Mali. Why is it happening? It's because the guys, the Africans are now they are able to stand on their own. You are producing oil like Nigeria, but you don't have the rights to refine your own oil. Those are challenges. Today we have Botswana now, they are cutting diamonds within Botswana. With those days, it used to be done elsewhere. What are we saying? Africa, we keep on rising up and we keep on waking up, just like the national anthem says, man, we are waking up.
Sure.
We've been in the slumber, but we are waking up. But we need the support of the same people that have taken whatever they've taken from us. We need their support. You know, they need to support us because they've used us before.
But what are your views on the current South African versus Israel?
It's a court case already in court. What South Africa is doing is basically trying to prove, as Africans, we can still be able to guide have a voice. I'm referring to all the parties, Eastern Asia and the like. We can still be able to advise them them. The stand that South Africa has taken, to lead in mediation to stop this conflict. It's a recommendable job for an African. I take pride in what South Africa has done.
What happened to Zambia during the colonial period? Was anything taken out of Zambia? Any minerals? What was the Zambian experience during colonialism?
The copper mines were owned by the Anglo-Americans. So they are the ones who were getting the minerals, take them to London, stock exchange, sell them, and bring whatever they feel they should bring in terms of development and wealth. We never had the chance to control our minerals until when our founder, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, came in and boldly said we are nationalizing the mines. And he did just that.
What caused the collapse of the Zambian economy that time when there were problems with the copper prices? What caused it?
The copper prices and everything, it has always been controlled by the London Stock Exchange. Even today, we still have that challenge, because today, right now, the kwacha has slumped against the dollar, so badly. The reason is simple. If the trading is being done within Zambia, we would be able to get the foreign exchange within Zambia. But now it has to be sold, whether it is China or whether it is UK or wherever it be. And it is from there where you'll be able to get whatever the meager resources or whatever that comes in as a supplement. The mines are being owned by foreigners. Basically, you find that it's a lower percentage that is being owned by Zambia. You find all the copper moves out of Zambia and it is sold at the London Stock Exchange or wherever. And at the end of the day, whatever is coming in Zambia, it's just a trickle. IMF, China, all these controls, they are all happening not because of anything, but it's because of the minerals that are in Zambia. Minerals can be sold locally. The dollars can come in. But as long as that is not done, then the copper price, as much as there are wars and whatever they are, they need copper to make bullets and the like. But you still find that the copper price keeps on slumping. Why? It's because they are still, economically, Africa, we are still being colonized.
We could say we are independent, but not economically.
No, we need economical independence.
Yes.
That's what we are fighting for now.
What sort of things do you think needs to be done in order to attain the elusive African unity? We had the OAU for 50 years. Africa is still not uniting in the way that it needs to unite. What do you think the problem is, and how do you think we could solve it?
It can only be solved when the Westerners come out of it and they let us run our own affairs. The unification that is happening in Africa, it's unprecedented. And I think as we go ahead with this trajectory, we'll see SADC growing, becoming a renowned territory, the freedom of movement, free trade. When all these things begin to come out, Africa will be able to improve. But as long as the West and the East do not look at what China has done to Zambia, we owe so much debt. A united front as Africa, SADC, and East Africa. And I don't want to be political. You look at the late Mama Gaddafi, his vision of a united Africa. That's basically what is beginning to happen now. But you can see that there is a unification that is happening.
Do you think the efforts are meaningful? Do you think they'll have a long-lasting effect? For instance, I know that Botswana and Namibia now have this arrangement where people cross with national identity documents instead of passports, right? But we know that Namibians are not happy with Botswana because Botswana soldiers are always shooting at Namibian citizens who are said to be poachers. I'm not going to say whether they are or not, but everyday citizens are very unhappy. There are tensions between Botswana citizens and Namibian citizens. But our presidents, the political leadership is very, very friendly and happy, and they're doing all these things. Do you think that that is meaningful? Do you think it's enough?
To me, that is meaningful. Basically, it is, you can go from Ireland to German, drive through and the like. Whatever is happening right now between Namibia and Botswana, which is also likely to happen with Zimbabwe, that is trying to bring in one family. The issues of BDF or Namibian forces, it was happening before these bilateral arrangements were done. But now that it is being done in this way, I don't think there would be such kind of shootings and the like. But obviously, where there is criminality, the two countries would definitely be able to look into that. Botswana cannot tolerate the issues of poaching. Neither would Namibia tolerate that, or Zambia would tolerate that. A poacher is considered a criminal. The arrangement that is coming, because now there'll be that recognition. I'm not sure who I'm going to shoot at. Is he a Namibian, or is he a Botswana, or is he a Zambian? So this kind of arrangement, to us, it is a unification that is bringing us together and making one big family. They all become one, and they can rise against any enemy. Our opponents, they may not be appreciated to see the unification that is happening. We need a peaceful Africa.
Civic education should be paramount. The citizens should be told why it is so and what benefits they gather by such an arrangement, and what they must be doing and what might not be done in another country when they cross over. So it borders on civic education, it borders on security and understanding of culture, so we can go a long way, but at one point it will be realized.
I realize that regular citizens like us have different views, right? Whereas governments act on a very high level.
Sure.
They can make laws, they can do this. But if the people themselves are not in tandem with their leadership, there's going to be a problem, just like in South Africa, where citizens are rising against foreign nationals. So I feel like even in the Botswana and Namibia situation, it's still unstable. I am not discounting the efforts. They are noble, and I think it's a good thing for us to integrate as a region first. But at the same time, like you were saying, civic education or whatever form of healing needs to occur, because this is just like there's a wound, somebody cut my hand, and I put a little plaster, and you give me a piece of chocolate and say, no, you'll feel better. You understand? You didn't address the underlying issue, that there's a cut, and you didn't put any antiseptic on it or something like that. It can get infected. So that's why I'm saying we need these kind of conversations, so that as citizens we can keep each other abreast with issues, and then we can reconcile as citizens. Because when governments do it, you'll never know. You know how African leaders are. Some of them are friends. They can make decisions on behalf of their nations without our consent and making wrong decisions. We know that it's something that can happen, right? But anyway, that is the gist of these conversations that we are having at Salalelo, is just to make sure that regular citizens like you and me can talk. We know that we are from different countries, but at the end of the day, we are Africans, and that it should be at the top of everybody's mind that we are one, we are the same. Now you can give me just a general view of global racism. That's also a big thing for me, because if we are okay, you see, we are having this conversation, we are going to broaden our understanding as somebody from Botswana and somebody from Zambia, right? So we can solidify our friendship, our brotherhood or sisterhood. But what about other Black people elsewhere in the world? I still want us to come back to that, because it is important when we are united, first as Southern Africans, and then we go and join the West Africans, the East Africans, the North Africans. Then we can move together as a bloc, and we will be able to talk about the racism that is happening to Black people in other parts of the world. It may not be where we are, but it doesn't mean we should turn a blind eye to it, right?
No.
But I think you can give me your closing remarks. I think we did very well. We will talk again, hopefully after some months. You can give me your closing remarks, and maybe I'd like you to concentrate on themes of unity in your closing remarks.
It has been a good conversation. Personally, I've learned a lot, and I would want, as a chair of Zambians in Botswana, explore more and bring more of other region associations on a talking table, so that we can know each other, we can know each other's challenges and problems which they they face here and where they come from, and see how best we can iron out, how best we can work out things to the betterment of everyone. Because this is now a global world, we don't need to live in isolation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ma, for awarding us this time to interact with you. And the only thing that we're looking at is let's have a united Africa. Positively speaking, I think the trajectory through which the political landscape is taking shape within SADC Africa or SADC region, I think it is in the right direction. We just pray for wars and coups that are happening in North Africa and East Africa to come to the end. We want to live in a free society where women are respected, girl child is respected, both male and female are respected. I think that would be my closing remarks. Thank you so much, Marapelo. Thank you for meeting.
Till next time again. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.